If your shoulder hurts, you've probably been told the same two things. It's wear and tear, or you're just getting older. And both of those are dead ends because neither one gives you anything to fix. And here's the truth, your shoulder pain almost always comes down to one thing: your joint has lost its stability. And stability is not age, it's not damage, it's a skill. And that skill can be rebuilt. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why your shoulder hurts and how we're going to fix it. Here's something most people never realize about their own shoulder. It's the most mobile joint in your entire body. It can move in more directions than anything else you got. But that freedom comes with the price, and the price is stability. Your hip sits deep in a socket, locked in by bone. Your shoulder does not. It sits in a socket so shallow the joint is barely held by the skeleton at all. What actually holds your shoulder together is muscle and nothing else. So when people say their shoulder feels loose or unstable, or it feels like it could give out, they're not imagining it. That's the joint telling you the muscle is not doing its job. And that is good news because muscle is trainable. We can't change the shape of a socket, but we can build the muscle that controls it. And that's the entire game. There are three common drivers for shoulder pain. Your shoulder didn't just blow out in one bad movement. That almost never happens. It gets worn down by three things you do every single day without thinking about them. One, the way you hold your posture, rounded forward. Two, shoulder blade that has no control, no ability to set and hold. Three, doing the same movement over and over with no variety. Those three stack on top of each other for months or years, and then one ordinary day, the shoulder finally complains. We're going to take all three apart, one at a time, and show you the fix for each. Miss even one of them, and the pain finds its way back. That's why we deal with all three. Driver one, anterior dominant posture. Look at how you spend your day. Phone in your hand, hands on the steering wheel, arms reaching forward for the desk. Every single one of those pulls on you in the same direction, forward. Do that for years and your shoulders quietly roll in, your upper back rounds, and your head drifts ahead of your body. Here's why that wrecks your shoulder. When you're rounded forward, the shoulder joint physically slides out of position. Now, the space that your shoulder and your tendons need to glide through gets narrower, and every time you lift your arm through that tissue, it gets squeezed. That's not age. It's not arthritis. That's position, and position can be changed. We open up the front of the body, the chest, the front of the shoulders that have been pulling you closed. Then we build the muscles of the upper back that hold you tall. Get posture back where it belongs, and the joint sits in the proper spot again with room to move, and the pinch is gone. Driver two, a shoulder blade with no control. Your arm bone doesn't connect to your spine. It connects to your shoulder blade, and your shoulder blade floats on your back, held in place by muscle alone. So every time you press, pull, reach, the blade has to set, hold steady first, or the joint has nothing solid to move against. When those muscles are weak, the blade slides around mid-movement, and the shoulder ends up doing its work on a base that won't hold still. That's where the grinding and catching come from. So we train the blade before we train the lift, teaching those muscles to lock in place and keep them there while the arm does its work. Stable base first, then strength. Driver three, overuse in one pattern. Here's what nobody tells you about overuse. It's not how much you move, it's how little you change. Do the exact same movement, the exact same way, every single day, and you're not training the shoulder, you're sanding down one spot on it. The fix isn't rest, it's variety, real engineered variety. At the Strength Laboratory, we changed the grip, wide, narrow, neutral, rotated. We changed the range of motion, full, partial, the bottom half, the top half. We changed the contraction type, lifting, lowering, holding dead still. We change the exercise itself so the load lands on the tissue from a new angle. We even change the stability demand, the diameter of what you're gripping, how thick the handle is, because the fatter grip rewires how the whole shoulder fires. Every one of those is a different stress, and different stress is what makes those tissues adapt instead of break down. Sameness is injury, and variety done on purpose is medicine. And so this is how the shoulder gets pinched. That sharp catch you feel when you reach up for something on a high shelf, that's not random, and it's not nothing. That's your shoulder tendon getting physically pinched, and I want you to understand exactly how it happens. There's a real measurable space inside your shoulder that your tendons travel through every time you raise your arm. When your posture rounds forward, that space shrinks. When your shoulder blade has no control, that space shrinks again. Now the tendon that used to glide cleanly through and move around is getting squeezed every single rep and every single reach. At first, it's just the catch. Then it's an ache. Then that's the pain that doesn't stop. Here's what matters. We don't chase the pain. We go after the space, fix the posture, restore the control of the shoulder blade, and that space opens back up. Give the tendon to move around and it stops getting pinched. That's how the catch actually goes away. Trigger points are what keep the joint loaded. Here's something you can feel for yourself right now. Reach up to the muscle between your neck and your shoulder and press into it. If you find a spot that's tight, ropey, and tender, that's a trigger point, and almost everyone has them. A trigger point is a section of muscle that has locked itself down and will not let go on its own. A locked muscle never truly rests. It keeps a constant pull on the shoulder even when you're sitting doing nothing. That constant tension is part of why the joint never gets a real break. Here's the part that surprises most people. Trigger points refer pain. They send it somewhere else. The pain you feel down the side of your arm may be coming from a knot in your upper back, nowhere near where it hurts. That's why chasing the spot that hurts so often fails. The source is somewhere else. Now, we actually find where that knot is located, and we release it, so the muscle finally lets go and the shoulder finally unloads. The path back is our three-part system. Most shoulder advice gets the order completely wrong, and the order is everything. People just jump straight into strengthening a shoulder that's still pinched, still locked up, still has no control, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. You can't strengthen your way out of a joint that isn't free to move yet. You'll just build strength on top of dysfunction. So we go in a specific sequence, and each step earns the next. First, we release what's locked down and reset the posture. That gives the joint its space and its position back. Second, we retrain the control, the shoulder blade and the rotator cuff, so the joint actually stays centered when we move it. Third, and only third, we rebuild real strength, because now there's a stable, free joint to load. Do it in this order, and the shoulder goes from constant pain to controlled to genuinely rebuilt. Skip a step and you're just back here again in 6 months. Step one in our system is release and restore posture. Now, step one is to release what's locked and reset posture. And there's a reason for this coming first. A guarded, pinched shoulder will fight you. You can't build strength or control on a joint that's still bracing against itself. So we start with hands-on work, getting directly into the locked muscles around the shoulder and upper back and freeing them. This is the most direct way there is to make a tight, guarded muscle let go. When we open up posture of the chest, the front of the shoulders that have been pulling you forward rounded for years, you'll notice almost right away there's more room. The reach gets easier. The catch quiets down. Now, that's not the finish line. That's us clearing the path so real work can be done and actually take hold. A loose, well-positioned joint is something we can build on. A locked one isn't. Step two in our system is retrain the shoulder blade and its cuff. Now, step 2 is where we rebuild the two control systems your shoulders run on, and almost no one trains these properly. First is the shoulder blade. That's the base. We already talked about how the whole joint depends on it, setting and holding. Second is the rotator cuff, and here's its real job. It's not a big mover, it's a centerer. The cuff's entire job is to keep the ball of the joint sitting dead center in the socket while the big muscles do the lifting. When the cuff is weak, the ball drifts off center under load, and that drift is gliding, catching, and pain. So we train the blade to set and hold, and we train the cuff to keep the joint centered through the whole range of motion. This control work is not ego lifting. The loads are honest, the focus is on quality. Get these two systems working and the shoulder stops catching and starts moving the way it's supposed to. Now, and only now, are you ready for real load. And for our final step in our system, step 3, rebuild capacity under load. Now, step 3 is where we build real strength, and we've earned the right to be here. The joint is free and controlled. But we don't just start throwing weight around. We load the shoulder with the methods it actually responds to. The first method is isometrics. Hold a hard position, dead still under load. Now, this calms the pain fast and teaches the joint to tolerate force. Second is slow eccentrics. That's the lowering half of the movement. Done slow and controlled, this is what genuinely rebuilds the tissue. And third, we build the volume back up. Smart, repeatable work that restores everyday capacity you lost. Every one of those gets progressed only when the shoulder proves it's ready, never before. This is the difference between protecting a shoulder and rebuilding one. When we reach this step, you're not babying the joint anymore. You're making a strong enough shoulder so that the pain never comes back. So here's where this goes from information to actually fixing your shoulder. Everything I just showed you, the posture, the shoulder blade, the pinch, the control. Now that's not a guess. It's something we measure. Most people never do that. They just guess at what's wrong. They rest it, they hope, and the pain just keeps coming back. We don't guess. We put you through an assessment and find out exactly where your posture and your control are breaking down. Then we walk you out with the plan built for your shoulder, not a generic one, yours. And understand this, every month you wait, that pinch digs in deeper and the dysfunction gets more set in. This is just not going to fix itself. The shoulder you want, the one that reaches and lifts and works without thinking about it, that starts with one phone call. Call the number on the screen and book your assessment. Let's find out what your shoulder actually needs. Call 562-245-6460.